Hey guys, so I've got here today the amazing Shelin. She helped me set up my company and my structure, my banking, my visa here in Dubai. And I wanted her to introduce herself. This is her crafts. She's amazing at it. And so Shelin, thank you for being here.
Well, that was a really nice introduction. Thank you, Taylor.
You're welcome. And thank you for being here. So this being your craft, how many, tell me a little bit about you in the industry and how many people you've helped, because I know it's lots.
Okay, no problem. So I have been in this industry now for about 4 years myself. So the company's been running a hell of a lot longer. I think we have helped establish well in excess of 50,000 companies.
Wow.
So really, really busy.
Yeah,
our end.
I can imagine.
But it's great because we've been operating for so long that I think we've just built on the initial business setup, right?
Mm-hmm.
As you know from your experience, there are so many moving parts and we've got so many divisions or different entities within the group that can help with pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's quite overwhelming moving anywhere, especially when you're moving your business or setting up something brand new or moving a whole family that, again, individuals have their own moving parts.
Variables. Yeah.
So yeah, I've been doing this a really long time. I think I love being where I am because we can help people from everything from the kind of professional legalities that we have to do to live here, all the way down to helping you find a house and, advising you of different schools in the area, medical insurance, different things that are just annoying to deal with, I guess, but so necessary for your family and yourself to flourish.
Well, no,
yeah,
100%.
it's pretty nice.
Yeah. Because you actually are allowing people and giving them the platform to make money, to, scale their businesses. I help on the PR and marketing side, so I know you need all of these things.
Yeah. I think for me, my whole career, it's always been about helping people. Like no matter what I've done, I always want it to come back to I've helped that person build something for their financial freedom in the future or their family, for the succession planning. Yeah. All of those things always come into everything that I do in my life. Yeah. So this has been, it's nice because it kind of sits between the B2B and the B2C kind of side of things.
Yeah.
But I still have that feeling of I've made a difference. So it's a really nice kind of middle ground because I'm dealing with businesses, but I'm also dealing with individuals and ultimately the people who are setting up these businesses and trying to start a new life and expand and create something amazing. So,
yeah, well, you're this powerhouse. So it was amazing getting to work with you and your team, and you guys set me up from A to Z seamlessly. So
I'm glad you're happy and I'm glad you're here and I'm glad everyone's listening.
Yeah. So you helped me with my whole process from start to finish. But a lot of people in my network are always asking me now that they've seen me in Dubai doing business, what was the business setup? Like, how do you know what you need when wanting to come to Dubai?
I mean, I think a lot of people that are moving here or want to move here or considering it as a backup plan, whatever it may be, it can feel really, really overwhelming. I think you must know that from all the questions you get. I get so many questions from the UK. I've been here 5 years now. So many people are always like, how did you do it? What did you do? Where did you start? Blah, blah, blah. So I think it can be overwhelming, especially when you're from like the Western world. You know how things work. It all ticks over. It's very easy and seamless. So it can feel a little bit overwhelming. Which is probably why I'm in a job, because people come to me and ask me questions, which is great, but it's not as bad. As you know from your experience, it's a different landscape for sure. And there's a lot of information that I need. As you know, I grilled you about your business and who you're going to be invoicing and how you're going to operate and what your plan is for kind of the longer term future as well.
Yep.
These things just help me give you the best solution for the long term. And that's how I work with all of my clients. Ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I'll probably get to know your business better than your spouse does by the end of it. But I'll ask a lot of questions and hopefully come up with the right solution. But as you know, not everything suits everyone.
Yes. It's a very bespoke and tailored service, which is the good thing about it. So another question a lot of people ask me is, how does the visa and business license go hand in hand when applying? Obviously, I got my residency. Does that mean you have to stay in the country for a specific amount of time? What comes with that?
It really depends on the individual. Obviously, there's a lot of people that don't necessarily want to live here. But if you're going to set up a company, be able to invoice, handle the logistics, you need a residency visa, whether you're living here or not. To become a tax resident as an individual, obviously, your own passport will impact this depending on the rules of your home country. But as per the UAE, if you spend 183 days here within a year, then you're a tax resident of the UAE as an individual. In terms of getting a business license and the visa, they kind of go hand in hand whether you're living here or not. As you know, you can't get a bank account set up unless you've got a visa.
Yep.
There are a few logistical issues that you may face.
Yep.
So the majority of my clients, whether they're living here or not, will take a visa just to make life easier.
Well, the process is great because you can just apply for both at the same time and then do the banking, which is what we did.
Yeah.
Another question, as far as, we have mainland. I know we have mainland and free zone. What does that mean for, let's say an American business owner coming with, I don't know, let's say like a tech company?
Yeah. So as you know, there are so many jurisdictions. There's offshore, there's free zones, there's mainland. Even the offshores are technically within the free zones, but they're just structured slightly differently. It really, really depends on the business.
Yeah.
As you know, we'll ask who you're invoicing, who you're servicing, and then make a decision based on that. The majority of clients that are kind of expanding into the region will go for a free zone. They're not necessarily planning on working locally or working with the government. So free zones just tick all the boxes, allow them to invoice from a more tax-friendly environment, I guess, and, diversify, reach a different geographical region. And yeah, it tends to work quite well. But most people will go for free zones. But obviously, if you want to be a fully fledged business on the ground, target local companies, target the government.
Yeah.
Or if you've got specific business activities, you need to look at mainland license. But that's kind of why the initial consultation with me is quite important, because I'll ask those questions and figure out what the plan is right now, what the plan is for the future. If it's, quite a way in the future, maybe we'll make a 2-phase plan. If you're planning on buying assets in the UAE, i.e. property, then we might want to look at an offshore setup, a passive vehicle, like an SPV holding company. Foundations are really big in the Middle East. They sit somewhere between kind of a trust and a holding company.
Okay.
So they'll protect your assets, succession planning, all of those things really come into it when delving into the passive vehicles, especially foundations.
I love that you bring up diversification and asset protection. I think people go one of two ways. One, they look at it as a plan B.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily need it, but it's peace of mind. Or two, they genuinely want to scale into a new region. And so looking at Dubai for myself, I was like, what an amazing business hub. I'm closer to all the Asian regions. I'm closer to Africa. I'm closer to, doing business with more cultures. But then, banking in America for any industry has gotten tougher. I think that's the same in anyone's home country or for most people. But it gives you the mobility to do more business. It gives you the mobility to have additional banking structures, tax efficiency. So you've been in Dubai longer than I have. You know more of this place than I do. What have you seen as far as the business side of it being a hub? Because Americans, some of them, haven't traveled this far or have preconceptions of what it's like here. I know it's amazing. I love how business savvy it is. But you get to see, so many different clients coming here and you get to set them up. What do you have to share for Americans listening?
Not an expert in the US. You probably know a lot more about how things function there and operate and the kind of nitty gritty and the negatives and the positives, all of it. So it's difficult for me to kind of comment specifically on the US, but I think the whole world has gone through some kind of turmoil in the last 5 years, right? COVID affected all of us, and there have been other things that have come in to most countries, which has turned things upside down. The UK is not in the best state at the moment. Hopefully all of that improves. But I think it's really kind of opened people's minds to different regions and having a plan B.
Yeah.
And having that kind of fallback, whether they're planning on moving here right now or just safeguarding themselves, that if things go in a direction that they're not necessarily comfortable with or happy with, they can easily transition somewhere else and not have to start from scratch in a panic.
Yeah.
I think as far as kind of people moving over here, I think the world is a bit more open-minded to the Middle East now. I think when I first moved here, I got so many bizarre questions. You know, can you wear what you want? Are you allowed to do this? Can you go out? You know, are you allowed to speak to men? Like all sorts of weird questions.
Yeah.
And I think the reality of here, kind of life-wise, parking business for a second, is so far from the kind of preconceptions that a lot of people had.
I agree.
I'm sure you would have experienced this as well. Everyone kind of has this vision in their mind of the Middle East is like this, and it's not. It's probably one of the most inclusive places I've ever been. And from a business perspective, I come from London. So London's very boom, 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 boom. Everyone's running past each other. No one looks up on the train. Everyone's just trying to get to their destination. Everyone's walking at top speed for some reason. Everyone's always in a rush.
City life. Yeah.
So I'm used to that, where you're lucky if you have someone smile at you when you're passing them. But here, I mean, I'm sure you've experienced it as well. Most people that you meet will want to help you with something, which is incredible. I don't think I've ever been anywhere.
It's so true. Yeah.
Where people are so willing to help you. Like if I met someone today at a beach club, for example, we started speaking about what we do. I might mention I've got a problem with something, or I need to find a developer. I need to be introduced to whatever. People are so quick to be like, oh, I've got someone, I'll introduce you. Oh, I can, this person does this, let me connect you. And I don't think I've ever been anywhere where it's like that. I think because it's so kind of expat driven here, we've all been in the same position. Yeah. We've all just got here at some point where we didn't know anyone and we didn't know what to do or where to start or how to navigate everything.
I completely agree. The communities, the women's community, just the entrepreneurial community, and then every business community here. Yeah, people are so friendly. I think people are pushing boundaries here. They're coming here to create, open their business. And yeah, I love it. So I completely agree.
I think it's just so different to everywhere else as well, right? There's no one that, this is a bit of a negative and I don't want to go down the negative hole, but, in the UK, there are certain people that are quite entitled because things get given to them. Whereas here, it's the opposite end of the spectrum. Nobody gets anything given to them. You've got to work for it. You've got to fight for it. You've got to make the right connections and build. So everyone's mindset is so similar. And I think it just works so well.
Yeah. It's a great feel to the environment here. I always tell my friends, I'm like, you can't live in Dubai and be bullshitting. You got to hustle. You got to hustle. You got to want to work with people because that is the vibe of people here. And so, yeah, not negative. I think it's a positive for us.
I mean, they're the negative on the Brits. I'm sorry, guys. Not everyone, of course. But, there's a group of people in probably most countries, right? And I think here, because you don't necessarily have the government helping you in the ways that they would in other countries, there is no backup plan.
Yeah.
You have no choice. You get up and you get it done.
Yeah. But that's what I love being in business. I love that I couldn't be somewhere laid back because I would just, do you know what I mean? I would just.
But it's a nice balance of like fast pace and slow pace right here. You've got that balance of you can go.
And then you can disappear to the beach.
And we're going to go chill out with a book now by the sea and everything's calm and fine.
That's true. So my mom actually is going through a golden visa process in Portugal. But the golden visa process is also available here. What is that and how does that differ from just a normal work visa or visa process?
So every visa needs to be kind of attached to something here, right? So it needs to be linked to something. So the golden visa, you can get it through being an employee that earns a certain amount.
Yep.
You can get it through investing into the country, whether that be through business, whether that be through property purchase, So the golden visa is essentially as close to being a citizen as you can get. Say, a similar kind of concept to Portugal and everywhere else. It's as close to being a citizen that you will ever get. The UAE do not issue passports to anyone. So the golden visa is very much the closest you can get, and it gives you quite a lot of freedom. So the golden visa is valid for 10 years and renewable. It removes a lot of the kind of limitations that a normal visa would. So normally you'd get issued a 2-year visa. You'd have to do your medical test every 2 years. You have to come back into the country once within every 6 months. So that can be tricky for some people that aren't, necessarily able to travel every 6 months or commit to that.
Yeah.
So the golden visa does give you more flexibility, but it's not the easiest one to get. Most of my clients will start with a normal visa, and then obviously after they've got a bit more footing, should I say, in the
Switch
UAE,
over.
they'll change it over. Yeah.
Okay. I think I need to do that.
You do that.
We're going to talk later.
No problem.
Yeah. One thing that I know Americans listening, the multi-currency accounts. Once I got my visa and my banks set up, I love that I can have any currency. It allows me to do business with Japan, China, pretty much anywhere I want. In the States, I was only doing business with Americans for the most part. So the flexibility of holding...
You mean in USD?
In the US, yeah.
But do you mean the currency or just in general?
In the currency as well.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. So being here not only has scaled my personal business, I am able to hold multiple currencies. I think that's a big thing there's very successful entrepreneurs that have never stepped foot out of the US. And to me, after going on this journey, I just can't imagine going back. And so I've been pulling out my friends out here like, come see what I see, Your business would thrive. It would scale 10x out here. I wanted to shift over to talking about like the timeline of how long does this process take, and does it vary?
Yeah. I think you mentioned this earlier, didn't you, where other countries will take months and months.
Yes.
And you guys are used to the things being really slow.
6 months, 12 months.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So being able to set up in one of the international business hubs in the world, I was shocked but then again, there's so many licenses and things you need to get through, the whole rigmarole on that end.
Timeline-wise, it varies, obviously, depending on the type of business that you're setting up. So if it's something a bit more complex, requires an office, requires external approvals, there's going to be a bit of extra time added on.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at something super, super simple, like a free zone license and visa, a couple of visas, whatever visas you need, without the need of an office or external approvals, then we can get the license issued approximately a week, depends on the jurisdiction. That's completely remote, as you know.
Yeah.
Because Taylor didn't want to come over to get this done. She was
I
traveling
wanted
around.
Efficiency, girl,
License will take about a week. Immigration card will take about 1 to 5 working days. Again, the different Emirates will impact this. We don't just cover Dubai, we cover the whole of the UAE. So depending on what the clients need, this can vary between 1 to 5 working days. So that's about a couple of weeks worth of work. That can be done completely remotely, which works really well for clients that are kind of from other countries 100%. And can't necessarily be here for the whole period.
That is what I asked you. I was like, when do I need to be there? Yeah. But yes.
So we take care of a lot of it before anyone even needs to arrive here. So those couple of weeks of work we'll be communicating via email. We tend to have WhatsApp groups as well. Obviously, you're probably used to it. I'm very used to it now, but WhatsApp is huge here.
Yeah.
Everything
WhatsApp's
gets
faster than emails in businesses here.
It is though, right? Because a quick message or like a prompt on WhatsApp to say, can you sign that document that's been emailed to you, just speeds up the whole process. And for me, I want clients to get things done as efficiently and smoothly as possible. So if creating a WhatsApp group can speed that up and allow me to kind of have a bit of an overview on what the team's doing, then I'm going to do that. Obviously, if there's anyone that doesn't want to be contacted on WhatsApp, we can leave them to it. But
I don't know what kind of business owner that would be.
So once that part of the process is done, as you know, then we'll say, right, when do you want to come over? Because we need to get the visa done now. So depending on, again, jurisdictions, type of visa we're doing, it can take on average about 8 to 10 working days, can be done quicker. Well, there's VIP add-ons as well to kind of specifically shorten that down to kind of 5 days or less.
Which is amazing.
We do need you physically here, though, as you know. There's nothing we can do about this part of the process because the visa includes a medical test. So as you know, we all have to have a blood test every time we renew our visas. We need to have a chest x-ray. They check for contractable diseases and stuff like that, trying to keep all of us safe. So that is unavoidable. So that gets done. Documents are kind of passed around the different government entities. Passport is kept with immigration until the whole process is complete. Then the passport is given back to the client, as you know, and they are free to leave.
Yes. But the fact that you can hand your passport over, it really only takes a few days, sometimes 24, 48 hours, is not the same as I know some people have reached out saying they haven't had their passport for, 3 months and been stuck somewhere waiting for a visa or a golden visa. So
that's a long time.
Yeah. For being in Dubai and getting everything, it's you guys make it so efficient for us, like as an entrepreneur.
I mean,
it's
everyone needs to fly away, or they've got families or whatever. So whatever I can do to kind of shorten that, I will. Obviously, we're limited because it's still dealing with the government and they've got their processes and we need to follow it. But if we can do anything to speed up the process or any add-ons that will save our clients time and allow them to spend that valuable time dealing with their businesses, being with their families, going on holiday, going to their other offices in different countries, then of course we'll do it. Yeah, you'll be given those options.
And guys, if you do end up speaking with Shelin, reaching out, don't go through this process, because we talked about this. Don't go through the process and then message her saying, I need it done in a week, and show up, actually go through the process with her and be responsive, because she can make magic happen, but you guys gotta communicate.
Yeah, I think we've had a few conversations about this lately. I've been scrapping with some clients who we've spoken about it for a long time, and then it's, right, I'm coming in a week and a half, and then I have to somehow pull miracles out and get their license and immigration card issued. But honestly, it just creates a lot of stress for not only us, but for you guys as well. You're better off leaving a period of time where, for example, if you can be here in 2 months' time, do all of this stuff a month before. Because there's no harm in that. It's done and it's ready and it's waiting. And then the flexibility is there for you. If you can come earlier, you can book it and change it. That's great. If you need to delay it a little bit, that's fine as well. But this initial part needs to be done before we can even think about the physical aspect.
Yeah. Let you guys do the logistics and your job and just get everything over as fast as possible. Okay, so we touched a little earlier on banking, but I wanted to dive a little bit more into it because that was another division and you guys have multiple divisions. You guys helped me open a few bank accounts, go through the process. I got to choose what currencies I wanted to do business in and hold. You don't just work with the major banks here, you also work with neobanks. If somebody wanted multiple bank accounts, how would they go about it with the team?
So obviously, as you've experienced, we have different divisions who specialize in different things. I can't physically do everything. One person, guys. But yeah, we are structured in such a great way that it's very much a one-stop shop. Obviously, we've touched on it being quite overwhelming when you're coming here because you don't know where to start or what to do or where to go. And there's a lot of people that give you mixed messages and information. So yeah, we kind of pride ourselves on the way we're structured, to be honest, because we do everything from kind of start to finish, help you maintain the business as well. But part of the initial setup is obviously business license, immigration card, visas. But then beyond that, you need to be able to make money.
Yeah.
So we've also got a team that are dedicated to just dealing with the banking side of things. As you mentioned, we've got relationship managers in all of the major banks throughout the UAE. Works really well for most people, but we've seen a big increase in the demand for digital banks. So they tick the boxes. They're obviously simpler solutions, but they really are working for people.
It's a great interim.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So most of my clients will have both. You know, they'll have a traditional bank and they'll have a digital bank as well. But some people just want digital and that's fine. So the banking team essentially have like another mini consultation with you once everything's set up.
Yeah.
So, okay, so now this is structured. Now you've got your visa. We need to get you up and running so you can actually make some money back. So their conversation is very much the currencies. The same thing you went through, right? What currencies, which countries, transaction sizes, those kind of things will impact where they will guide you to go. I'm assuming that the process is pretty similar to the US in terms of the application.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you apply, you have your interviews, they'll guide you on how to answer the questions and just help you tick all of those boxes to get up and running, really.
Yeah, no, it was great because I actually had someone from the team come with me to my bank meeting.
Amazing.
So that relationship between the big banks and then your team, it definitely, I feel like, you know, sped up the process as well, even with the banking side. For the first time also, you know, like people don't really want to walk into a bank on their own and are kind of lost. So it was super tailored service. What you don't know, you don't know. So even as an entrepreneur, like I did so much research into all of the requirements for Dubai, and God bless Sean for putting us in touch. I will shout him out for that one. Starting the process with you, then I found out, okay, you guys almost, you know, put you through what's needed, answer what your goals are, tell you, okay, this, and this. But then after you're through, so to not overwhelm someone, you're like, but we can look into this now and this. And so it's like the perfect, I would say, golden process that you guys have within your team. So another division you guys have is the accounting division, which is obviously important for anyone setting up here. Instead of them figuring it out, you guys can help them with their VAT, corporate and income tax, and for American business owners, you know, the VAT is new to them.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about that division.
No worries, that's fine. So in terms of tax, obviously it is relatively new. Came in, how long's it been now? 2 years, I think? Maybe about 2 years. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
Distant memory. But they brought corporate tax in. And that is currently at 9% corporate tax. There is a slightly higher rate for international businesses that are turning over a huge amount, which I think is 15%. But the majority of companies will fall under the 9% bracket. So when this was introduced, obviously everything was kind of changing here. We didn't really know what was going on, but we fully embedded ourselves into the new system and it's working really well. 9% is still not as bad as other places in the world, right?
Not at all. Not at all.
Exactly. So we're still very, very low. But there's still opportunities to not pay any tax anyway, which we can kind of delve into a little bit. But that's corporate tax. Then VAT is 5%. Again, VAT is applicable based on where you're doing business. If it's in the UAE, that VAT is going to be applicable. Most of my clients that are doing business internationally don't really need to worry about that anyway. Income tax, like we touched on earlier, is still 0% for everyone. So if you're a tax resident here, your pay slip, gross and net, is exactly the same, which is amazing. Coming from the UK, paying 40%, believe me, I was happy when I started getting those
It's
post
wild. It really is. So for those people that step out of the box and really like educate themselves, what a huge difference. That's a huge, you can go afford to have, you know, kids, an extra kid.
You have to pay for schooling and medical here, but yeah, that's fine. It's the same in the US though, right?
Yeah.
I think anyone coming from the UK maybe feels that a little bit different, but then what you save on tax tends to pay for that anyway. So it works out quite well for most people.
Oh, you brought up, like, because we're talking about kids.
Yeah.
For people, I had someone reach out, say somebody wanted to come over with a spouse and they're setting up a business and getting a visa. How does that apply to kids or a spouse?
Like a lot of my clients will have families, of course, and they're not just going to ditch them and leave them in another country. So of course we've got ways.
I got lower tax. I'm not coming back.
Yeah, I'm going to the UAE. Enjoy your lives. No. Obviously, there are ways of doing this. So if they are legally married, I have to specify this because this is still obviously the UAE.
Yeah.
If they're legally married, they can sponsor their spouse and their children. So what that means is if someone sets up a business, they've got an investor visa, or if they've got a golden visa or whatever visa they've got, an extension of that will be the dependent visas. So they will sponsor their families' visas. So there are obviously people that aren't legally married, which is fine, still acceptable here, not a problem at all. But we just have to tailor the solution to allow for the visa for the partner as well.
Gotcha. Okay. So I get asked so much about the different zones in Dubai for businesses. I couldn't even name probably more than 5.
So I'll ask
you better than most. Good job.
And like 2 of those are just because of my business. But I figured I'd ask you to go into more detail on that because there's just so many people with different businesses.
And shed some light for them.
I think we've obviously touched on how overwhelming it can be when you're moving here. So forget about kind of moving your whole life and your whole family and your business and everything else. People do get kind of bogged down with the logistics of which free zone, for example, which emirate should I be in? Which business activity should I have on the license? Which, again, keeps me in a job because I can do all of the research and do everything in the background. Obviously, I've been doing this for many years now. So a lot of it, I kind of know And based on what people say to me, I can advise accordingly. But there are so many throughout the UAE. I don't even know how many free zones there are now. Probably about 70, I think.
Wow.
I don't really know the exact number, but there are so many.
Yeah.
But again, this comes back to how we're structured as a business, right? I will get the information. We have a research team to go out there and look at the different jurisdictions. Depending on if they want an office, where they want to be based, what the business activity is, all of those things will impact what we recommend. And I would go as far as to say it's impossible for a person to go online and Google and figure out which jurisdiction they should be in.
That's very true.
Because there's so many layers to this. So in terms of setting people up, I know we spoke about this briefly earlier. There are such things as designated zones, which again ties into the tax stuff that we kind of touched on earlier as well. So these designated zones, depending on what business the client is doing, if they're doing one of the qualifying activities, it's on a wholesale basis in terms of trading, and they set up in one of these designated zones, they can pay 0% tax on everything. So again, this is why the consultation is super, super important, because I'll ask so many questions. Again, like I said, I'll know your business better than your spouse.
Yeah.
Figure it all out and then give you the different options. And then we take it from there. If you wanted me to sit there and talk about the pros and cons of each one, it's not really relevant because every person's needs are different. What would be great for you might not work for me at all.
Yeah. I think Googling, like you said, man, I got completely different answers than figuring out the facts from you and your team. So highly suggest people don't just go off of what's on Google.
I mean, that's what they always say anyway. Don't Google it to pretty much everything.
Just don't Google it. Just don't even start that journey.
Like, as I've learned, every business activity holds a different license. So making sure it's done the right way, making sure you're in the right zone is all part of your I would say you have your own black book secrets. You know what I mean? In the industry.
Yeah. I love it.
So Taylor and I have tried to cover as much as we can for you guys. But obviously, as we've touched on, this is a very bespoke process. So please do reach out via her link below and we can have a one-to-one conversation. I'll make sure I look after you guys. If I'm not available, my team are incredible. So we will definitely go through the motions with you to make sure we find the right solution. Thanks again for watching us talk for over 30 minutes.